tangent. So when I think of collective liberation, right, the greatest example of collective liberation for me is good old JC, good old Jesus Christ. So I'm going to go back to his time, so that, because if I talk about the different factions today, people are going to be like, wait a minute, that's me, you're talking about me. I'm like, no, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about a faction. You've just identified yourself with it. So let's go back in time when there was a group of people and they were being oppressed. They were an occupied people. They had military that was occupying their territory and telling them, this is what you're going to do, and you're going to follow these laws. These are our laws, and we're going to control you. And these were the Jews, right? And the Jews were saying to the occupiers, the Romans, we don't like this. Shouldn't be this way. We're fine. We don't need you. We have our own laws. We have our own religion. We have our own God. We're good. We don't need this constant oppression. And you better watch out, because one of these days our Messiah is going to come back and he's going to kick your booty, because we're looking for a Messiah who's a military guy, right? And they were right to the extent that they were a good people. They did have their own religion. They did have their own God, and it's not cool to be militarily occupied and oppressed. It's not. Great. They're right. And then there's the Romans. And the Romans say, we have the best way of life that there is. We will bring you clean water. We will bring you an abundance of food. We will bring you really nice roads. We will bring you law and order. Here's the proof that we have the best life that there is. We just whipped your... We have the biggest military. And they were right. They were right. They did bring it. And they said people are going to love it. When we bring this to them, they're going to love it. Also right. People did love fresh water. People did love an abundance of food. People did love roads, order. They didn't love being occupied, but quality of life, they loved it. It was better. They were right. And then here's this group of people led by a guy named Jesus, who says, I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about the kingdom of heaven is within. The kingdom of heaven is right here and right now. And he was right. So they're all right. They're all right. Each of those groups wants to speak up and we're going to be liberated. And the followers, the disciples of Jesus, they're like, why don't you talk about, the oppression from the Sadducees and the Pharisees? Why don't you talk about the oppression by the Romans? And I have to imagine that Jesus said, what do you think I have been talking about all along? I'm talking about love. I'm talking about peace. I'm talking about your higher self, a relationship with the one, knowledge that you are the most powerful being on the universe, that there is harmony and balance and joy and wisdom, knowingness, peace, right here at your fingertips. It is theirs for you, there for you to take it. And you're telling me I'm not talking about this one specific thing? I'm talking about everything. Keep up. And I see these little memes these days that say, people don't realize it, but Jesus stood up against this and that and this and that. And he stood up against Rome. Jesus didn't go to be against something. He wasn't against Rome. He wasn't against the Jews and the Sadducees and the Pharisees. He wasn't against anything. He was for something. And the fact that he was for love and for the one power, the only power that is, that caused the Pharisees and the Sadducees to say, no, 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 no. We know who the one God is, and we have the power, and we will show you, we will have you arrested. And Jesus said, okay. And then the Romans said, no, 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 no. You're not going to tell us that there's one power and that your Father and this kingdom and yada yada. No, 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 no. We have the power. And we will show you. We're going to beat you. And we're going to hang you on a cross. And we're going to kill you. And Jesus said, okay. But where was the epicenter of the Catholic Church when it got started? Rome. And where was Rome on its way out? Did Rome liberate a bunch of people? Did the Jewish people liberate a bunch of people? Or did Jesus Christ liberate a bunch of people? Collectively, Jesus Christ did the liberating by simply being the truth of who he was, by living as who he was. That's how he did it. And he said, oh, but what about paying our taxes? Give to Caesar what's Caesar's. That's his money. I don't care. I'm telling you, you have the keys to the kingdom within you. Be who you truly are. You liberate yourself, you can liberate the world. I am the light and the way, he said. You are the light and the way. So when we go into silence, seeking that divinity within us, that's where we start. And if we are guided to act, then we act. And if we are guided to speak, then we speak. And if we are afraid to speak, then we be impeccable with our word and find out why we are afraid to speak. And if we're okay with being afraid, then that's where we are on our path. And if we want liberation from that fear, we seek that. That becomes our intention. In our philosophy, we go to a practitioner. We say, I need help. I need you to speak your word for me. I feel afraid and I don't want to be afraid anymore. And sometimes we go into that stillness, sometimes we go into that silence, and we are not moved to act, and we are not moved to speak. And so we begin in silence, and we finish in silence. Sometimes we don't need to overcome the silence. Sometimes the silence is where the power is. Every time, the silence is where the power is. That is our starting place, and we move out from there into the world in joy, in peace, in light, in harmony, in oneness. And we look out and we say, I love you. I love you. I love you. Walk away, but I still love you. I love me. All is well. Everything is okay. I know you're not doing what I would do. That's all right. You're on your journey. I know you're acting, as Oprah says, you're acting the fool. I know, you don't know who you are. You don't know the divinity in you. That's okay. I forgive you. How can I hold you accountable for not knowing what you don't know? Sometimes I forget who I am and I act the fool. I forgive myself. I love myself. I remember who I am. And bet if you're looking out and telling people you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you know, they say you got three pointed back at you. You haven't forgiven yourself for something. And that hurts. That's not easy to live with. And so we do what's called projection. We project it out. So if that's what we're doing, just boop, light bulb comes on. I'm out there pointing the finger. I think I better go into stillness and figure out what's going on here. Own what I'm doing. Feel my feelings. Forgive myself. Remember who I am. Breathe in that love, in with the good air, out with the good air. There is only good air. I don't remember who first said that. It might have been me. Yeah. I love that. In with the good air, out with the good air. There's only good air. Let's watch what we're thinking, watch what we're believing, watch what we're saying about ourselves and other people, and let's liberate ourselves and thereby liberate the collective. I want to, instead of doing a treatment today, I'm going to read something that's called My Prayer for My Country by Ernest Holmes. This is sort of an example of how we can approach. Sometimes maybe things are going on in our, outside of us, and we want to treat that. Let's remember to try and keep our focus on ourselves, but sometimes we want to treat what's going on out there. He says, and you feel free to, take a deep breath, close your eyes, lower your gaze, and just hear this. And just understand that this is the way we can interact, a way that we can interact with the outside world. Ernest Holmes says, believing in the divine destiny of the United States of America and in the preservation of liberty, security, and self-expression for all, I offer this, my prayer for my country. I know that divine intelligence governs the destiny of the United States of America, directing the thought and the activity of all who guide its affairs. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are the gifts of freedom and the divine heritage of everyone in this country, that they are now operating in the affairs of every individual in this country. I know that divine guidance enlightens the collective mind of the people of this country, causing it to know that economic security may come to all without the loss of either personal freedom or individual self-expression. I know that no one can believe or be led to believe that personal freedom must be surrendered in order to ensure economic security for all. The all-knowing mind contains the answer to every problem which confronts this country. I know that every leader in this country is now directed by this all-knowing mind and has the knowledge of a complete solution to every problem. Each is impelled to act upon this knowledge to the end that abundance, security, and peace shall come to all. And I know that this spiritual democracy shall endure, guaranteeing to everyone in this country personal liberty, happiness, and self-expression. And so it is.